There is no limit to inquisitive mind and perfection of knowledge. The Infinite Science program focuses on the latest scientific achievements, new developments and unique discoveries by Kazakh scientists. Infinite Science is an opportunity to see the future of science.
California University have discovered an alternative method to restore mobility in patients struck by paralysis. They did this with the aid of electroencephalography. The function of damaged neurons was replaced by a special device. It records the electric activity of the brain and transmits it through electrodes into the muscles of the leg, bypassing damaged nerves. After numerous sessions of physiotherapy, the patients start learning to control the limbs. Hello, my name is Irke Bulanbek Mohanbet, and you're watching Infinite Science. In today's program, how to preserve the fertility of soil, the benefits of ammelid worms, prevention of environmental disasters, risk assessment using computer models, leading experience of Kazakhstan's cardiac surgeons. Soil is one of the most important natural resources. In case of deterioration, it is very difficult to restore it and requires more than one generation of efforts. That is why science does not cease to search for more effective ways of preserving the fertility of soil. And often they are based on processes that occur in nature itself. Today, technology for the production of organic fertilizers is being actively implemented all across the world. These compounds that are very beneficial for the soil are obtained without the use of any chemicals. One of the types of these fertilizers is vermicompost. Vermicompost is an organic compound that contains nutritive substances, for example, potassium, sodium, nitrogen, and organic substances, humic and folic acids, and many substances that are required for plant growth. Two compounds are required for the production of vermicompost: agricultural waste, usually compost, as well as special worms. In the course of their life, worms digest compost, thereby enriching it with nutritive microflora. The standard method of obtaining vermicompost takes about 6 months. Kazakhstani scientists at the International Kazakh-Turkish University are working on creating a new accelerated method. At the moment, we proposed a new accelerated technology that allows to obtain vermicompost in no longer than 2 months. In order to speed up the process, scientists decided to create more beneficial conditions for the worms. Research has shown that activity and viability of worms increases with improved aeration of compost or enrichment of it with oxygen. In order to do this, scientists add calcium peroxide to compost. During decomposition, oxygen forms, which does not decompose right away, but does this gradually, and thereby enriches the substrate. Thus, worms become more active and propagate faster. All this leads to compost turning into vermicompost much faster. The obtained organic fertilizer can be used for growing all types of plants. What's more, the soil is simultaneously enriched with humic and folic acids. As the end result, this leads to an increase in harvest yields by at least 30%. Nature gives us everything that is necessary for life and more. But the use of its resources, for example extraction of mineral resources, inevitably disturbs the fragile balance and may cause an ecological disaster. How to lower the level of environmental pollution and preserve the ecosystem? Risk assessment plays an important role in this process. Today, intense development of oil fields is taking place at the Caspian Sea, and this means that a need arises to assess environmental risks during extraction. How to make predictions more accurate? For this, specialists at the National Laboratory of Information and Space Technologies of Kazakhstan developed a software that creates interactive maps of oil spills. The entire project is divided into the development of separate modules. Thus, we have a separate module that calculates hydrodynamics, a separate module that measures the spill, and other modules that calculate the risks. Different modules of the system all have one common goal: to create a risk map. In order to obtain it, all that the user has to do is insert the initial data. These are geographical coordinates of the depository, its type, yield, as well as properties of the extracted oil. Then the program conducts the necessary calculations.
Основываясь на этих данных, у нас
Based on this data, a model is built. In a way, it models the accident itself, and it is possible to see the movement of the oil spill along the water surface from the place of the accident.
Передвижение нефти по акватории, получается, от места данной аварии.
The program can determine the characteristics of the wind on a concrete date. Thus, it is seen in which direction at which speed the oil spill will proliferate on the spot of the accident. This will allow to determine location of containment booms. But this is not all. The program is constantly being updated. The modules are fulfilling this role. With the appearance of new information in the modules, they get updated and modernized. Today, the program is at the stage of beta testing. In the near future, it will become possible for specialists in the sphere of subsurface management.
Каждое новое изобретение дает нам ранее неизвестный способ решения актуальных.
Each new invention provides us with a previously unknown solution to a challenging problem, but only in the case when we know how to correctly implement the invention in practice. In cardiovascular surgery, this is of special importance. In the case of heart surgery, a precise algorithm of actions is required with no margin for error. That is why the experience of pioneers in the field of medicine is always of great value.
Всегда имеет огромную ценность.
Not all patients with a grave case of cardiac failure can survive a heart transplant procedure. In this case, implants are used which partially fulfill the functions of the heart. For example, an artificial ventricle. Kazakhstani surgeons conducted a first successful implantation in 2011. These were devices of the first and second generation. Today, they are substituted by a more superior model, a US-based implant, HeartMate 3. Kazakhstan, as a developed country in the field of cardiovascular surgery, took part in the clinical trials of the new invention.
We
successfully completed international research, the surgery part. We're still monitoring the patients. Clinical trials were successfully completed. However, before implementation into wide practice, the new model has to receive a European and American certification. This is a very long formal procedure, which was only completed in 2015.
Нам пришлось бы ждать. Вот. А время как бы тут уже играет против этих пациентов.
We would have had to wait, and time is working against these patients. They cannot wait long. That is why we lobbied before the government, and they decided to cooperate. So we began implementing these devices after the research.
Эти устройства уже, как называется, после исследований.
Clinical trials have demonstrated high reliability, and that means that they were worth the risk. In 2014, the artificial ventricles were implanted in patients that required them. Overall, Kazakhstani cardiac surgeons conducted 36 surgeries in 1 year, and all were successful. At the moment, when the formal certification procedure has been completed, Kazakhstan has accumulated a wealth of experience. That is why the Cardiac Surgery Center in Astana has been recognized as the international center for the preparation of specialists in implantation of HeartMate 3.
У нас уже было 4 группы, а в группе где-то в среднем около 20 человек.
We've already had about 4 groups, and there are on average 20 people in each group. Arrival of 2 groups is planned at the beginning of November and December. Thus, practically out of all the European countries where this problem is being tackled, our specialists have already passed educational
У
training.
нас уже специалисты прошли это обучение.
There are plans to have around 300 specialists from abroad pass training in Kazakhstan. This means that the experience of Kazakhstan's cardiac surgeons will be spread across the world and will give a chance to many more patients to receive an opportunity to lead a full life. How to improve livelihood conditions in regions with an unfavorable climate and ecology? One of the options is greening, but in order to increase the area of green spaces, it is necessary to adapt the plants to the tough surrounding conditions. How are Kazakhstani scientists from Turkestan managing to adapt coniferous trees to desert and semi-desert conditions? More on this in our next program. Discover infinite science with us. Until next time.